Good evening, and welcome to Post Apoc Horse Talk. I'm your host, Gallant Aegis, and this is my co-host, BG. Say hello, BG.
Hi, everybody.
So first off, I'd like to apologise for our much later start and our deviation from our normal material tonight. But let's continue on with the show, as it were. Before we go on tonight, to avoid cluttering the chat and to be expedient later, please be so kind as to ask your questions in the chat, and BG will compile them for later. Now, our guest tonight is someone who, while isn't strictly speaking horse famous, is someone I've been wanting on the show for some time. He's an avid pen and paper aficionado and a holder of some spicy memes, some spicy hot takes on a subject that we all love to hate here. Please, welcome to the show, GODOG.
Sup?
So, welcome to the show. How are you enjoying it here thus far?
So far so good. Although I'm kind of disappointed that you probably hear it, my mic setup kind of sucks.
Yes, we all. I do apologise, chat, but it seems that GODOG's mic is somewhat on the fucky side. So if you want to put Fs in the chat for that, we can move on.
Yeah, definitely a lot of Fs for that. Big Fs.
So let's begin with some simple questions. How long have you been doing pen and paper in general?
Well, I guess like the start of money, which was sort of like really old, kind of like first FOE like pen and paper group. I think that started around in like 2013. So
well,
that's about my start, about just like 70.
Well, perhaps you could elaborate for our audience tonight. What is a Fort Money? Because I believe that was the name of the group.
Yeah. So it was just like a bunch of people who were like on the original 4chan FOE thread just a while back before it kind of fell off. And there's some people wanted to try to run a cat system and together, and it's sort of, I don't know, we're still going 7 years strong, so a lot of people aren't really playing KCAT or FO. But there's also horse famous people in like of note, Fuzzy. So
people who don't know,
the artist, and also the artist Kalon.
Wasn't also what's his name, Captain Horse in your group at one point?
Yeah, I think he was in our group for a little bit.
But yeah, Fuzzy was the writer of, if I'm not mistaken, Murky Number 7, and everyone knows Kale and what he does.
Yeah, his contribution.
So, Fort Money was a group that you made from all these people on 4chan, and you've been going ever since, yes?
More or less. I wouldn't say I've started it. It was mostly Mike, who I believe is also an artist, or I think goes by Freckle Fanatic. He was the original GM, so I guess he has credit for starting it. So obviously, we got a lot more GMs. Like step up. He's not really the only, and I don't think he's actually. But yeah, I guess you would have credit.
All right then. Well, how many systems have you played in then? Like, you must have played in a lot more systems besides the what? How many FOE systems are there nowadays?
Quite a bit, and then like I was showing, we also have a bunch of like homebrew, just for like shits and giggles, or tried to get away from KCAT. So I would say tried playing with KCAT for about like first like 4 years, and we tried doing all our like revisions, compiled it all together. I think we still have like the wiki up for that has all our KCAT, but eventually
But correct me if I'm wrong, but was Mad Mod involved in that?
No. So I think that was separate from us. He was doing his own thing. But we stole like his item.
Oh yeah, like for those who don't know, Mad Mod I think he was, in my opinion, the spiritual successor to KCAT. He fixed a lot of the problems that a lot of people had with that as a base system. He I believe he changed how skill points worked and gave a bunch of new items and fixed a lot of the problems. So props to him. So if everyone who enjoys pen and paper does have him to thank. But let's move on back to what you were saying, GODOG.
Right. So even though he definitely made a lot of good changes to the system, most of our GMs and players still didn't feel like it was adequate. So we started making our own, and that went on for about 4 years until pretty much we kind of just gave up on the system, and now we're moving on. We started moving on to like. So I think the first one that I showed you was made by Toast. I don't think.
Sorry, you're chopping up a bit there, bud.
Fuck. But yeah, so we first moved to another system that was based on actually Dark Heresy. So it was still like D100. And then it kind of like the floodgates went from there. And then eventually we started not doing this, but like sort of course came up with.
Okay, we're having some technical difficulties. The stream is chopping up and you're getting a bit choppy too.
Oh, shit.
Uh, 2 seconds. Try saying something again, GODOG.
Something.
Well, it seems to be working okay for now.
All right. Well.
So where were you?
So I think I was just saying that we, like now we're a bunch of, I think of note. We started playing with Iron Claw for a bit. Then I think we'll try to make FOE pack of Iron Claw.
Mm-hmm.
Which you don't know. It's basically like sort of known as like furry RPG.
Okay.
Yeah. But it definitely had like a lot of weird like quirks. I personally didn't like, but some people definitely had some fun with it. And then I think Fuzzy also, as of note, we started playing with Cortex.
I want to
like generic.
I want to stress that Cortex is not a good system.
Right, but apparently, Fuzzy actually likes it, so he's running a campaign with it right now.
I think there's something might be a bit wrong in Fuzzy's head if he thinks it's a good system, but each to his own.
To each to his own. Yeah, I definitely I didn't play any of the games with it. Port Money's like pretty large. Definitely like a lot of people like more.
If you allow me to go on a bit of a diatribe here, but the reason why I don't like Cortex is, if I understand it rightly, it was originally a Firefly system, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the problem with it is that the better your skill gets, the more random it gets. So someone who's supposed to be the best at something has like what, a D12 in their skill?
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I remember, in that particular game, the highest flat modifier you could ever get to your roll was a +4.
Yeah.
So let me explain to you how the difficulty worked. There were basically had to reach a certain value on your dice to complete your skills. But the thing is that there was very few ways to basically not to modify your skill. So if I remember an example from the book, closing a door was, I think, like a 4 difficulty. So that meant that you could fail your attempt to close a door with your D12, 1 in 3 times.
Oh, God. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a yikes.
Yeah, it was a yikes thing. I don't think it's a good system. I don't think it's fun. I think it's antithetical. I think that's the right word.
Antithetical?
That
Anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic. When did it become anti-Jews?
Oh, God.
Antithetical. I think that's the right word. Antithetical to fun gameplay.
I mean, I definitely would agree with that, but I also have sort of like the very extreme opinion, according to most people, on RPG. But
It's just bad. It's not fun. It's if you're gonna play it in a meme campaign. Don't take it seriously, because it's not going to be fun if you take it seriously.
well, I'll definitely tell Fuzzy that. I'll ask, how's your meme campaign going?
And there we go. There's the bridge I hope to build with Fuzzy gone.
There we go. He's gone. He's never coming on, folks.
Oh God. But anyway, where were we? You said you were playing a game with Cortex, as terrible as the system is.
Yeah. So I was just listing on some of the systems that were Cortex. Then I think that's mainly it, other than like a couple of like home that we've been using, including some of the ones that I made. But those are mostly just like one campaign, one shot.
Right. Well then, let's move on to our next question then. So let's move ourselves a bit back to the FOE pen and paper system scene. There are quite a few out there. Quite a few come to mind. Which ones have you played with? I know you said you played with the original KCAT system, and you had made your own homebrews of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah.
So
that was mostly the only one.
That was it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. We played with the original, and then we played with like various homebrews that we tried to make. But then ultimately decided all the GMs decided to stop using it, really. Other than there's a few holdovers. I think there's one campaign. Yeah, there's one campaign that's been going on since 2013. It's like a 7-year campaign. And that one's really only still using the system just because, the fucking campaign has been going on so long that it would be to switch it right now.
Well, there are a fair few. How many do you know of out there? Because, like, I know KCAT exists and MadMod, then by extension. I know High Tides was one, which was a split off as well, and Dead Tree. They came from the same stock, I believe. Like one of the guys who was working on Dead Tree, a friend of mine, by that fact, I think jacked a lot of their pre-alpha stuff and made his own stuff. I should know because I worked on it.
Yeah,
what else?
I think those are the only ones that I have. If there's any others, I don't know. Are there any?
There are a few other smaller ones out there, like BG. Like there's a few. Like I know Wasteland Ventures is one. That's made by Sour Cherry and Whack. They were previously on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, but I think that one's at least different enough that.
That is completely different. It's non.
Yeah.
It originally was based in KCAT. Like pretty much every Fallout Equestria pen and paper system is at least tangentially related to KCAT. but yeah, they're very different now. Like it's so different, you wouldn't have believed it came from KCAP.
Yeah, that was my impression when I read it. It's good that it's definitely not.
There was also
based
this
on-
weird one that's based also on D6s, but unrelated to Wasteland Ventures.
Oh yeah, I know. In the FOE forum, there was like a bunch of like home ones floating around. Like there was like this called like FOE 4.0 system that was by like Ice Captain, and two other smaller homebrew ones, but I never really played them. I just read them. And then I played High Tide, Dead, like both once. I think High Tide played like one session, and then Dead Trees I actually played at a convention.
Sorry, you're cutting out a bit, bud. So could you try saying that entirely again?
Okay, so basically just I played High Tide, mostly just like one shots. And in my opinion, there really isn't much like that in like basically High Tides is kind of just like adding on.
Yeah, it
like
was.
A bunch of extra.
Yeah, I admit that as someone who worked on it, it was very much it was trying to build on what was already pretty shaky ground and just add more to
right.
It was, not gonna lie here, it was a game built for super autists by super autists. It was very anal about the mechanics. Like it was so crunchy. It was like eating a bowl of teeth. That's how crunchy it was.
Yeah, so that's definitely not the kind of games I kind of like, because I think I kind of alluded before, but definitely subscribe to sort of like the OSR philosophy of games now, and that's if you know anything about the OSR, it's like the exact
Remind
what
me.
they're all about. So OSR is like sort of like the Bible thumping grogs. Say OD&D is the best version of D ever.
Sorry, you're cutting out again quite a lot, bud.
Fuck. How about now? Better?
Like if you just keep a more constant stream on your voice and just try and think precisely what you want to say, then it doesn't seem to chop out so much.
Yeah, I guess it just doesn't like my voice because I have very gravelly. So OSR is really just about like getting rid of like all simple resistance, like apps, but not like narrative. So like for OSR, they would get rid of like all the skills.
So it's more about the storytelling and less about the mechanics of how it works. Basically, you do very bare bones mechanics there.
Well, sort of, but it's more like there's no need to codify all these things when you can just come up with a ruling at the table, or like the rulings over sense. Like it comes from the old like original.
Like I can understand that kind of school of thought when it comes to pen and paper, that less is more, and you don't necessarily need a rule for everything pre-prescribed to you to make a game run. That I don't disagree with that sentiment, because that is true. You don't necessarily need a rule for everything. Though I am more of the belt and braces approach when it comes to rule books. I like having every occurrence covered in the book. I like having that interpretation and that there for me to work with. Now, as a GM, I can and will elect to ignore rules I don't think are helpful in the moment. But yeah, I'm not really a big fan of there not being rules on items or any particular thing in a book.
Well, like the idea is less to like not give any rules at all, and more to like provide the tools for you to make a rule on how you handle X. So it's more like trying to be like being like flexible. Like so it's definitely like reference like suggest on how to run the game. You know, like original Dungeons and Dragons, where it was like, oh, you know, you could just whip out chainmail to run a fight, but then it doesn't actually. Or also like the first dungeon ever, the unknown, where like half the dungeon is like unfilled. It was basically just when you got to that page, it tells you in that room, it just says put something here, fill it out, because it was more to how to make your own rather than sell you a prepackaged product.
I suppose
it was like it sort of like comes from that sort of mentality. So, but like also like super minimal, like they like codifying even like skills like would be like tossed out.
I'm not sure I'm a particular fan of this idea, but I mean, if you enjoy it and this is what you like to do with your games,
right? Well, like most people don't really like OSR. It's sort of like it sort of is to like a lot of them. But that's definitely where I'm coming from when look at it. Like, so, you know, obviously KCAT with like a million rules and all the skills. Obviously, I don't like that in general. But I also think just like the system itself is poorly thought out. Like even if you just try to, I think like the biggest one for me, shamanist rules.
Oh yeah. Like I want to just freely admit here again that shamanism in the core book was way too vague, didn't do enough, and frankly was just kind of felt like it was tagged on. It wasn't really thought about properly.
Yeah. So like if you wanted to play like the biggest meme was playing like a buffalo shaman, where it just fucking, it was basically complete, never been completed. It's kind of hilarious to think about. It's been like 7 years. No one has made any like actual rules how to play a buffalo shaman.
I mean, I want to just say this about my system because I actually I also make a KCAT derived system, Equestrian Vagabonds. Again, one day I may invite you to the server to peruse the fruits of my labor. But we actually did decide to make rules on how to do a buffalo shaman.
It's only taken 7 years.
It only took 7 years, but we got there.
The prophecy is true.
But yeah, like shamanism for buffalo, at least from what I've done with them, which if you'll indulge me this digression, we mostly focus them around, like, let's be fair, buffalo have always been the Native American analog in the game, because that's just what they are. So, like, their shamanism, yes, you get to do some shamanistic stuff. Like, you can imbue items with spirits, but you also get access to, like, dream stuff, and your shamanism intersects a bit with your brewing skills, your alchemy as well, which also intersects with conventional magic.
I mean, I that's definitely a way to do it. Just kind of make the jack of all trades.
Like they intersect with all kinds of magic in one way or another. But
yeah, I can definitely see that.
But that's neither here nor there. It just means that, you know, you can safely say that shamanism has been dealt with. Just like you said, it took the best part of a decade to get there, but we got there.
Yep. Definitely fun. Then, of course, obviously, Pegasus tricks, which I just
Oh yeah,
I hate. That's just
that
Pegasus
stuff.
tricks.
The problem with Pegasus tricks is that it wasn't fleshed out at all either. Like again, it just felt really tagged on, even more so than shamanism, in my opinion.
Well, also, I just felt like it's a pointless addition. Like it's just like adding fucking magic Pegasi. It's like, why would you want to have me give Pegasi? Like, doesn't that kind of just like, is that like, unicorns thing? Is that what playing like a
Well, every race has access to magic of some sort. Just this is their
but like
particular
it's sort of
flavor.
like right, but like it's sort of like casting spells or like have trying, or also you have to do like acrobatics.
I mean,
with your wings, you got to invest rather than something you can't.
you're cutting out again, dude.
Fuck. Just shit.
Oh
How about
boy.
now?
Try saying a long sentence.
A long sentence like this.
Okay, so the last thing I heard you say was that you felt that tricks were superfluous, that they felt that it was unneeded.
Yeah.
So again, like I can see your argument there that it wasn't necessary to give Pegasi magic in any description. That they were very strong even before they got given this magical stuff. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
like I remember playing a Pegasus character before tricks was a thing. Her name was Lanceret, and her shtick was simply taking a pointy stick, charging at something, stabbing it, flying away, stabbing it again, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, they had that fucking. I think they still have that perk where it basically like halves their all the costs for their AP, but it's
That's
basically all.
that is still true. Like they do get an AP reduction on flight, but they also have perks that it's called crash landing. So that basically, as long as you took a flight or basically just any kind of movement action before you stab someone, you get more damage.
Right. Yeah, they got that, and they also have the flight. It gives them like makes it gives like a fucking up to like a -30 to get hit by any.
Potentially, like
So
the
it's like
higher levels is against grounded targets it's -50, against other flying targets -30 at the highest level.
yeah, and I
But there
remember
are
I was
ways
able to like stack it up to be like -70.
there are ways to get it up higher with that, and there still are ways to do that. Like there are high level builds to do that, but you also are aware that if you start doing that to a GM will just start pulling out stuff to ignore that. Like for example, like there's no rule in the system that says you can't say, oh, my boss characters ignore half of all penalties against shooting, and they just give them a high skill anyway.
Right, but like but I don't see the point or like the fun in playing a game where you got to start playing, fucking doing an arms race with GM with your character. Like
I see that argument.
Think that, I see the point should be on the actual game itself and the actual. More like should be like an arms race. I need to make a monster player character to start.
You're cutting out again a lot, dude.
Oh, I was just basically just saying that I don't like that arms player character.
I grant that no one likes the arms race as a GM to a player, and I appreciate that. But yeah, it's just that I've always felt that in KCAT you're supposed to be playing heroes, and heroic characters do get to kind of be special.
Right.
Now, some people may disagree with me and say that KCAT is supposed to not be about heroes. It's supposed to be about average people rising up to the challenge of being a hero. but I always thought that they were supposed to be a little bit special to begin with, and your whole thing is about just realizing this potential and saving your little slice of the wasteland from a threat.
Right. I definitely would agree with that. That K-Cat, like, conceptually, for like is high, like for like a high level.
No, I don't even necessarily think high level, but it's just you are playing people that are imbued with something special, even
Right.
if you aren't high level yet and are particularly special.
And that's also something that I personally don't like. Like, I know there's a lot of people, and I can appreciate that are tailored to that. But for me, also with OSR, especially if you like play first level as written, it's just it really hammers in the idea that you're not anyone fucking special. You play first as written. You get fucking 4 hit points as a wizard. You
boy.
get one spell that you can cast one time a day, and then after that, that's it. And just roll up a wizard with 1
the
HP.
thing is, I don't find
then,
that fun that you can only cast your spell once per day.
Well, that's how you start out, and there's also some other ways to get around that. Like if you're actually savvy reading, you can actually like make scrolls like from level and start just like buy a bunch of scrolls and start having a bunch of backup scrolls. Obviously, that costs a fucking lot of money, but that's a way to. But obviously, the point of that is that in that starting position, like
okay,
from level 1 or
it's still
even
chopping
low
up
level,
a lot, bud. I don't know what's causing all this choppiness.
Fuck, I don't know either. I guess maybe it might be like phone connection. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
Give me a second. I can't actually see anything that's making it particularly choppy, but
Quick, roll an arcane science check.
I do apologize about this, folks, with all the choppiness. I hope you are okay with all this.
Hopefully.
Give me a second. Perhaps we should move on to our next question then.
All right, yeah.
So, you said you played a couple of games in FOE. What has been your most memorable story in that?
Oh boy. So there's quite a few, but I think one of my favorite campaigns, one that was horribly. It had a really bad name, unfortunately, because it was called Fall of Equestria. And obviously, yeah.
That is a highly
was,
cursed name.
Yeah, this was fucking. I think it was actually Fall of Equestria was actually a fucking thing, but the GM didn't know about it. So the plot of that campaign originally was that like we were a bunch of new war science that basically got Black Mesa'd. We were in a facility right when the bombs dropped off and it locked down. Had to get out. It's currently locked down and we all died. And things immediately, like from like fucking session 1 from word go, like just like went completely off the rails.
I think I might have heard stuff about this game.
Yes, because Lucid played a very character called Victory K. And so also during this time, he was also doing like the magic revision for us. and he purposefully made Eldritch knives, even in like the base system, is fucking.
Oh yeah, like I remember Eldritch knives. If you indulge fucking Grandpa Gear here, sorry, Grandpa Aegis here, and let me jaw just a moment on how fucking ridiculous Eldritch Knives was. So, Eldritch Knives was insane as spells went, and it still is real strong, but it's less strong than it used to be. If you bear with me just a brief moment. Yeah, I got lots of documents. So many documents. Infinite documents. There we go. So, this is what originally Eldritch Knives used to do. So, you conjure a swarm of magical knives. They make a single attack roll. Each knife did potency plus 13 magical energy damage per knife. So the average character, at least the character creation, had about 4 or 5 potency. So that would be about 18 damage per knife. So if you're following along with this, the target only took half the DT per knife. So the average DT on level 1 character with this spell would be like 5, if that. 5 to 10 would be the typical DT you'd get at early levels. And you would get versatility plus 3 knives at a basic cast. Now, versatility and potency aren't always 1-to-1, but they would be normally if you're playing a min-max character, it'd be 1-to-1. So 4 or 5. So that would be 7 to 8 knives. So if you're following along, that's 18 damage per knife with 8 knives. 8 or 9 knives. Sorry, 7 or 8 knives. And that's what? Close to 140, 160 damage? Just off the top of my head, if my brain can keep up with the maths. And the average character at level 1 had like 105 hit points. It means that this was one-shotting most things. It was This thing would absolutely just butcher whatever you fired it at. Like, it did have a downside. I'm not going to pretend that it didn't. It required 2 casting actions to do, and casting was expensive. But most enemies wouldn't be competent enough if you were playing the game, smart, couldn't take out your spell. They couldn't prevent you from casting it. So basically, you just go on and go dead, 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 dead. And it's just too strong. It's too strong.
So that's also the thing. So he actually made it stronger, and he also, I think he could make. We were only starting at like a level 3, but he made edits to the spell, so about 500 damage from one fucking.
I imagine it was like 1 trick or something.
Yeah, I think he was like 1 trick, or he was like versatile or whatever. So he basically had like 10. He had like 10 versatility. So
yeah. Okay. That was 10 versatility, low potency. Okay. So he had. If that was the case, he had spread thin. So in the game, there was a trait called spread thin. It halved your potency, but doubled your versatility, and it also gave you more spells. So you had a lot more. Basically, your butter was spread over more bread, but that butter was also fucking lethal. Especially with a spell where the broad amount of your damage was done not with potency, but with versatility.
Yep. And also he also got around the casting time, but just spell closet. So basically, all
Oh
spell closet
God.
does is allows
Oh
you
God.
to allow you to hang a spell,
Yeah.
after you cast it. So he would just, cast DK like off screen, and then use spell closet, and also like the fucking like damage. The way I'm not sure how exactly. He might have also edited it, but basically, we just roll the attack roll before, and then have EK. So basically, if he had the attack roll already like rolled, and he's success, literally nothing you could do. You could just say, all right, I just let my EK out that I had suspended. Boom, you die.
Yeah. Okay. That's because you could argue at that point that magic didn't basically you didn't make an attack roll for it necessarily. Like it wasn't going to just hit. Oh, sorry, it was going to hit as long as you basically passed the check, regardless of anything that's going on. It was basically a manifestation roll,
Right.
and as long as you manifested at that point, you would just hit the target and it would die.
Yep. So, with that overpowered as fuck spell, Victory kind of just like went on like
A
rampage.
murder spree.
Well, not initially. It was more like she was trying to like be like controlling and control everyone's action.
Yeah, that's a kind of a dick move right there.
Yeah, yeah. And then someone stepped up, and then she killed them. And then someone also argued with her again, and then she killed them too. So basically, like the game was like being held hostage by
a absolute cunt, for lack of a better word.
Yep. Yeah. So that was the inciting incident. Was that somehow we didn't kill Victory.
Though
a lot of people left.
And the worst part is that there was a spell that you could do early on that could actually been potentially useful against this particular spell. It was shield, but here's a lucky fucking coincidence. Shield doesn't work against Eldritch Knives.
Yep.
Wow.
So yeah, that's just a wacky coincidence, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's not even the best part about this campaign. That's really just inciting. That kind of just set the scene for the rest of the absolute batshit crazy fuck that was about to happen. So after that incident and after Victory killed about like half the party, we got out of that fucking Black Mesa essentially, and then the party pretty much like split off after that. Everyone was like pretty much like basically like the party was like planning to like undermine and like murder each other like the entire game. After that,
Gee,
like,
I wonder why. I wonder
yeah, you wonder,
why.
Yeah, you wonder why. After that bullshit. And I was playing a character, Crispy, which I believe I posted and talked before. But basically, she was a Ministry of Morale agent who also basically into hashtag stripes. So that was a bit of an issue with her job as as basically a pink.
So, okay, if I understand this right, that she was a zebra that worked for the Ministry.
No, she was a unicorn who had a very distinct taste.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So that was her character. But then after that bullshit, she started becoming more paranoid, schizophrenic, and she also I used like the magic. I worked with the GM and I had her like sort of like piece together a couple of spells to basically make like a spell that was a fucking like bomb that she just like set off. Like she could just like put like a bunch of like telekinetic and like one point, and then just have it like blow up. So she basically became
telekinetic bomb.
Yes. I mean, like, too long didn't read. It's pretty much Yoshikage Kira from fucking JoJo.
Oh god, I just finished that arc as well from in JoJo.
Yeah, and hey, this was in fucking 2014, so no cringe. This was before the anime even started. I had no cringe going on.
Oh god. Yeah. I can't help it, bud. I'm cringing. I'm cringing myself into a neutron star.
It's okay. But the point of that is basically, so I eventually got the upper hand on Victor. And then after a bunch of backstabbing and arguing, we eventually just decided to kill Victor. Because before at that point, I basically called in a favor with one of the NPCs. And they cut off Victory's horn after so she was kind of inert for a while. But then she got her horn reattached, so she was back to Brett. And then after where she was pulling some more fast shit on us, we just killed her. That's kind of a simplification about
she got what she fucking deserved.
Yeah, exactly. So that's about it. Simplification half the campaign, but we're still getting to the creme of la creme, where I basically so after that, the player was still around to stick around, and he made a replacement character called Copper Coal. We forced him to make a Earth Pony, obviously, because we're not dealing with your fucking magic bullshit again. So he just made a sort of a gypsy. And things looked good initially, but even though he just met my character and everyone, she was the antagonistic. Obviously a bit of out of character and metagaming going on there. But point is that my character sort of started people started getting nervous and worried about my character. Now she had this big, powerful spell. It's oh shit, now she can fucking do the same thing that Victory to us. So then she, Copper Coal, the replacement character for Victory, basically convinced the rest of the party to Christy are dead at this one mansion part. But she didn't die. So my character was pissed, wanted revenge. So it's where things start getting the big moment. So I knew that the party was going to go to one next location, part of the plot or whatever. So I had my character sort of sneak ahead of them and set up an ambush, because I was I'm going to get these fuckers back. So I went. So it was this big pre-war facility that was under a lake, sort of thing. And when I went down there, it turns out, oh hey, there's 3 mega spells that are undetonated. That's pretty cool. That might come in handy. And I had my fucking bomb spell, so I just rigged the mega spells to explode just in case if I needed something. So the ambush didn't really go to plan, mostly because we got counter ambushed by some monster NPCs that were in their thing, and we had to basically, it kind of came back together. We reconciled, except for Copper Coal. Basically, immediately just fucked off and went to the complete opposite end of the facility. So my character knew that Copper Coal was there, but the rest of the party kind of forgot her or thought she was dead. So then I was I got an idea. So I convinced the party that there was that the place was rigged to blow, that it was on a countdown, and that we needed to get out there ASAP. And it worked. So I had the party abandon Copper Coal in the facility, and then after we started like running away, and we got a couple of miles out. I set all 4 mega spells to explode. It destroyed the facility, but also because this was like right post after the bombs, there actually was still a lot of like civilians and like survivors around the area, and the GM told me that apparently I accidentally caused 20,000 in collateral damage, casualty. But you know what? I think it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
Fucking genociding 20,000 people to spite one motherfucker.
It be like that sometimes. Hey, that's why they shouldn't have like gotten out of their stables either. Should just found a stable and just stay there for years like everyone else.
Like I just want to point out here, this is a very good reason why you don't make such antagonistic characters in a party.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely, I would not recommend doing anything like that ever. But I personally had a lot of fun. It was definitely pretty fun.
Like, rule number 1 in role-playing games, in my opinion, is that no matter what happens, you can always trust the other players in your party.
Right.
Now,
if there's no trust, then shit just breaks down to like that.
Like, obviously, the fact is, like, you can have people in your party that are absolute bastards and play absolute bastards, but you as a player have absolute trust that they're not going to stab you in the back unless you've done something actively to piss them off. Right. In that point, also, you have been the instigator of your own demise in that circumstance.
Right. And also, I would say, just like in general, that sometimes you have to step in as a player and take over the character for the good of the game.
Yes, sometimes you do have to metagame just a little bit and do something your character probably wouldn't do for the sake of the game continuing. Hopefully, you never have to do this stuff in any game you're ever involved in. Hopefully, the game will not ever have such an antagonistic character in it that this is forced upon you.
But I would also say, like, another thing, another example, visual, like a green text. So it was a guy who made like a blacksmithing character, and like his main thing was that he was all about like blacksmithing.
Mm-hmm.
Made all of it that. All right, okay, cool. So then session starts. The traditional start. The group comes together and they're like, oh, we got this mission to go. But then the guy playing the blacksmith character is like, well, my character doesn't really have any to go on this. So I'm just gonna stay back. And the GM's like, okay, all right. And then he leaves. Bruce just leaves without him. And then he pulls the player aside and he's like, all right, you need to like roll new character or find a reason why this guy's gonna, because I'm not gonna force it.
I mean, yeah, like you should make a character that actually wants to adventure.
Yeah.
Like that is the basic premise of the campaign. You're an adventurer going on an adventure. Fucking do that.
You make a fucking adventurer or turn your character into an adventurer. Sometimes you have to force your character to fit.
Like, for example, I have a character, not my personal character, a friend of mine's character in another campaign. His dude has crippling debt. Like, if you can imagine the worst debt an American student would have, times that by 12 and you probably have what this guy's debt looks like. The person who he owes this money to, a loan shark, broke his fucking leg, permanently, mind you, to get his money back for it. This guy has every reason to not throw himself in with adventurers. You know why? Because those adventurers, one, also ingratiated themselves with this person and, helped him not necessarily settle his debt, but work towards clearing it.
Well, I mean, like adventurers, they always like go against like fucking supposed to, at least in original, you know, collect, gold for EX. So, adventurers make money, or at least they're supposed to.
Well, the reason why this party was doing their thing is that they're working for I'll be honest, a somewhat shady organization that is a bit questionable about its motives and what it does. But yeah, they pay well. They pay well. They do good stuff, and the party saw an opportunity to make some good money working for this organization, and they wanted a technician, and this character with a broken leg was a technician.
Yep. So
seems like
all the reasons there.
Seems like a pretty decent reason to me to answer the call to action, as it were. But
then what happened?
Well, he's still alive. He's still doing his stuff. He's practically a child. Like, I think the character is only, what, 18? 17, 18? And yeah, like his whole thing, he's not a combat character. He doesn't even pick up a gun. Like, the most aggressive action he's ever done against someone was literally throw mugs at them. And to be fair, his mug throwing has been on fucking fleek. Not gonna lie, he's just absolutely demolished people with fucking crits from mugs he's tossed at people.
I mean, hey, if it's like some fucking like cast iron like goblets, that definitely would fucking hurt.
I mean, they're not cast iron goblets. No, they're just like straight up coffee cups. He's just decking out enemies with fucking coffee cups.
It would fucking hurt. That's for
Okay, it's damn right it's gonna hurt. The point is that he doesn't do fighting. How he does his fighting is through drones. So basically, he is a rigger. He makes drones. He pilots drones. That's his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so he's still being useful to the party, even if he isn't literally picking up a gun and just blapping men in the face.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to make a combat character. You just got a character.
You should always make a character that contributes to the fight. Like, that is one of the things I want to be very pointed on when it comes to making a character. You should do something that contributes to the fight. You don't necessarily have to pick up a sword, but you contribute somehow.
Right. You gotta some way other than just, oh hey, I'm blacksmith. Can make. It has to be something that is actually like useful to the party in the moment. Because if it's not, then anytime you're not fucking anvil, you aren't gonna do shit. You're gonna be fucking useless.
Yeah.
You gotta think of something that you can to the party, most of the time, rather than some specific skill set that may never be able to actually.
All right then. Well, let's just do the obligatory questions at this point, and then we'll go on to our first break of the night. It'll be quite short, since I know you're strapped for time tonight.
Yeah, I might actually have to be sooner than later, unfortunately. I believe I only have 30 minutes left for my thing, so maybe if we could, I don't know. Yeah, because I really don't have 30 minutes left.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, if that's the case, we'll just complete the interview, and unfortunately, that'll be probably where our stream has to end for the night.
Dang.
Unfortunately, we can't demand to have longer breaks.
Right.
So,
I mean, I still got 30 minutes if you got if we want.
Like 30 minutes is plenty of time to ask these questions and get something of value out of you.
All right.
So let's start off with the one that I want, that I felt was going to be the juiciest one out of you.
Oh God.
What are your views on the Big Five?
Okay. So the original, I've had strong distaste to the original like before, but I think I've kind of like warmed up to it. There's definitely a lot of issues with it, but I think it's definitely a good story overall.
Yeah, I think
Even
that's
though there's even though there's a lot of conceptual issues, it's definitely really good picture of the world. For like season 1 era, it definitely had an idea. I definitely like the emphasis, sort of, that it was, post-apocalyptia wasn't really about like fighting sources, but it was more like the thing that was missing from the Western wasteland: friendship. Everyone was a fucking dick to each other, and everyone was like trying to scramble, and there was no cooperation. I think that was, and I think that's better than what than like just straight lifting the themes from Fallout. So I think that was a good. All right. And then Pink Eyes. I think it's inoffensive. I would say that. I didn't really like it. I liked some of the characters, like the Italian mercenary. I forgot her name. Definitely probably started with a G.
I don't think it was a G, but I know the person you're on about, and she was a pretty cool character. I liked her.
Yeah, she was a cool character. But overall, definitely didn't blow me away. Right, even when I read it, like back in 2012.
I mean, let's be fair. A lot of people do have I think the Pink Eyes is a very good fic. I agree with you. But it isn't the greatest thing since sliced bread, which a lot of people do kind of praise it as.
Yeah, more like I think it should have been usurped like pretty quickly by another fic, maybe like Guys of Chaos. I would have preferred that, just because it didn't really, it was one of the first side fics, but it definitely wasn't one of the best, I think. And then Heroes, I still have to catch up with it. I kind of lost. I kind of haven't finished it, unfortunately. But my overall impressions of it was that it's definitely really good. I honestly really like Heroes. But it suffers really hard in like the first like 20, even like 30 chapters, because no one didn't really know what he was fucking doing.
It's also
would agree.
Like I don't think it's a bad fic. I think it's very good. I enjoy it a lot. But it does have a problem. I find that it is quite dry early on, and it still remains the undertone of dryness throughout.
Yeah, it definitely has a little more subdued in tone, but I think that kind of works to its favor in the later chapters. It just, it's one of those fics where you just forever get going. Yeah, it's like one of those like where people, the fucking JRPG, like, oh, you gotta wait to get in the first 100 hours of the game, then you'll understand. Or the fucking Final Fantasy 13 one where it's like, oh,
sounds pretty gatekeepy, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't put anyone past it, didn't get past that slog if they don't like it, or even if they get past it. But I got past it mostly by skim reading, but I did it. And I think when you get to the meat of the later chapter, it's actually. I haven't finished it though, and I heard there was ending, but.
Yeah, the ending. I know what the ending is. Not going to give spoilers, but a lot of people do think that the ending was a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad that he finished it at least, but we'll see. Next.
Murky.
Murky number 6. Murky. I still haven't really fully thought out what I feel about. I'm not sure. I definitely will say that I have issues with it, but mostly from like the way it's written, sort of. Like I think the length of Murky is detrimental.
It's very long.
Yeah, and I know that like Fuzzy would say that he tries to write every chapter as like a self-contained story, but like I wouldn't say that the chapters hold up as self-contained, or that they feel a little too long to be short stories, kind of thing. I feel like the verbose, how verbose Murky is definitely a big, and also knowing Fuzzy personally from some PC games, I would say there isn't actually he has that issue just in general of being way too close. I remember like specifically like one of the first campaigns that he was in Money. There was a sort of anecdote where like all the characters, they went around and did their introduction. And we do our sessions mostly text. I don't think we ever had a voice session. So he was typing away. It just said on Roll20, Fuzzy VV is typing. Fuzzy VV is typing. Fuzzy VV is typing. And that went on for about like 10 minutes.
He
So
does take his time writing.
Yeah, but no, here's the thing. So the DM was like, all right, we'll just move on without him. Maybe he's like AFK or something. Sometimes he'll still say you're typing if you just like left in the middle of typing or something. So they like moved on. They like went and started doing like their first like sort of mission thing with like this cool character and whatever. And then suddenly out of nowhere, this fucking giant ass text that just like fucking blots out everything out from him, like just like pops up in the screen and just like fucking like what the fuck is this? Just like the longest ass intro, but also like the better part of that was that he was like writing his responses to things that was happening while he was writing the intro. So like the intro just kept getting extended like longer and longer and longer. So I think like after that, I just kind of feel like I don't know. I feel like the verbose there's an issue.
Yeah, it does seem to me that he did spend a bit too much time writing that response out just a bit, just a smidge.
Although I guess that is a bit of a common rookie mistake to make while role playing.
Yeah, well, but that was also the thing was that before that he was like talking about I've like role played before and talking about all his characters like Pathfinder and other stuff. So it wasn't even like he was a rookie.
It's just that he likes to be very descript. But please.
He likes to be very yes.
But please go
and then
on.
Finally, yes. Okay. So the moment
we've all been waiting for the spiciest of hot takes.
The spiciest of hot takes. Project Horizon. I definitely. How do I put this? Like in a.
Just put it any way you feel like. Like we're all friends here. We're all adults.
Okay. So I think I'll just like summarize that news that I read that was definitely very spicy. So I was reading along with PH to my suffering with the fanfic podcast. So they reached book 5, the second chapter of book 5. This is after like a really weird chapter where Somber just goes.
Hello?
Basically, it worked. It's working.
You cut out a bit there. The last thing I heard you say was somber something.
I was just saying. Now I remember. Okay, so the first chapter of book 5, it's kind of like established that apparently Jay has been like gone for 2 months.
Yes, I remember now.
Like yeah, which was that was a whole. Was like the entire story up to that point was probably not even more than a month, and then you just had this giant ass time skip in the middle of it where BJ's just like doing whatever. So it's like okay,
he's just existing.
Yeah, so then chapter 2, there's a big with her and Rampage, where she's like justifying what she did during those 3 months of nothing. Definitely wasn't a very convincing argument, kind of really contrived. But the big bra moment, the massive bra moment, for me was so like DJ had like a sort of like, I forgot what they call it, transponder or whatever the fuck. It's like a device that allows her to like spy on people with big fucks, and that's what she was using to spy on people in this chapter, because it kind of like went to third person, but it was actually like anyways. So they Rampage out of nowhere asked BJ if she'd been like using it to watch people have sex. Some reason, I have no idea why. Like, I don't feel like it got established before that Rampage really liked sex.
I mean, Rampage.
Considering her past.
I mean, Rampage isn't particularly interested in sex. Rampage is just very what's the right word?
Capricious? Just
not capricious. That's not the right word. She's very. She has no internal filter. Not really.
Yeah, but that was just a weird thing. Like, why the fuck is just like is asking?
Like,
but then
why were you asking? Why do we even need to know as a reader? Like, who cares?
Yeah,
who the fuck cares?
Here's the fucking bra moment. So then apparently BJ mentioned that she's been watching fucking Scotch tape masturbate and have sex for an unknown amount of time.
Oh no.
And the fact that no one fucking brings this up, like everyone remembers the fucking rockets, but no one brings up this point, and they're like, oh, BJ isn't actually this fucking. It's just kind of like, bruh, what the fuck?
I bring this up a few times. Every time we mention Scotch, it gets worse.
Yep. So that's pretty much my summary of PH right now is bruh. Just BRUH, bruh.
The whole book is just a compilation of bra moments being held together with bra tape.
Don't think about it too hard moments. Yeah.
Just consume product kind of thing. But yes, I would definitely get like a PH book that just is just like bruh the entire time. Book
Every word is bruh. Every chapter is bruh.
Chapter 1, bruh. It's just like fucking bruh for every single word of the 1.5 million words. I think I'd definitely buy that. But that's my summary.
But yeah, as I said, basically the entire book that is PH is bruh moments held together with bruh tape.
Yeah, bruh moments in the bruh zone, bruh tape, by the bruh boys.
Oh, why does this book exist?
You tell me. I don't have an answer.
All right, let's get another more obligatory question. This is probably going to be the last couple of questions. How did you get into MLP and, by extension, FOE?
So, I actually was browsing Co on 4chan, and I watched the premiere of the Hub. That was October 2010, and that's when I started. I started from the first episode, and
you were there from the beginning.
Yep, I've been there from the beginning. I am.
Hello?
Oh, yeah. I was just saying I was there from the beginning. I am old fag.
You're an old fag. Okay.
Basically.
So what about FOE then?
I can't remember exactly how I got it. But I played, Fallout New Vegas, definitely one of my favorites of all time. I played Fallout 1, Fallout 3. Did not like did not like 3 at all. Was definitely one of those, no more mutant guys. And then I guess maybe I must have saw it, like, oh, hey, Fallen Ponies. I like these 2 things. Let's see how it turns out. And pretty much from there.
It was like, hey, that's pretty good.
Well, I saw that it was like, I think it was the original fucking post on Equestria Daily. And when he posted up there, I think there was already like 20 chapters or something.
I mean, the first posts were on 4chan.
No, actually, I looked into this, and the first time that KK ever shared FOE was on like a fucking after action report form, because like she did, or I'm not versed in that thing, but I'll just did a bunch of like after action reports for Fallout before, and then so originally FOE was basically just Fallout 3 play, was literally a Fallout 3 play with a ponies. And it didn't really get a good reception there. Obviously, because it was back in the day where, probably still is, where, you post pony in the wrong place, people just get, shit. And then I guess he decided to just rewrite it and make it a proper story rather than based on an actual Fallout place. But if you read like the first few chapters of Fallout Equestria with that in mind, it definitely kind of explains, pretty much why shit was like written like that all the way up to because I'm guessing when Little Pit meets Calamity, that's like when KCAT started adding plot, sort of like the planning wise. Because I know he actually, because KCAT definitely seems like again editing for some reason, but I know like from the original post to the actual chapter 1, there was actually some editing, because like a lot of the like references like Red Eye and stuff were added in, but yeah, so that's the original source of F4.
All right then. One more question, then I believe that'll be enough for the night. Unfortunately, won't be able to do our full segment.
Unfortunately.
How healthy do you think the FOE fandom is? How do you feel it? Actually, what do you think about the FOE fandom right now, and how healthy do you think it is, and where do you think it's going to go?
I'll definitely say I'm kind of like turned off from the FOE fandom recently. As of late, I've just kind of like taken a little bit of a break. I'm not too sure where the fandom is going. I think maybe if Fallout 76 is actually any good, the new update, maybe that'll start inspiring things. But I definitely think like the biggest like, shot to the face for the fandom was the fact that Fallout 4 was so bad of an RPG.
Oh yeah, like Fallout 4 was not a good game.
Yeah, and then obviously the disaster of 76 that pretty much destroyed the fact is that the Fallout, the original Fallout is like dying, sort of, up until maybe Wastelanders got. So obviously that effect's gonna go with the FOE. There's no new content gleaned from. It's just kind of there's nothing to expand on. And also with how the setting is set up, also along with like the epilogue, how it was written, kind of like wrapped too many things up. There isn't really too many places in setting stagnant right now.
I mean, there's always plenty of room to go backwards in time in other places in the world.
Right, but people have just been going back for so long. It kind of feels like just things are going to be running out of steam completely, or I don't know. But I definitely think if there's definitely not another good like Fallout game, within I don't know a couple of years, Fallout 5. If Fallout 5 is a disaster too, yeah, that definitely probably.
I mean, I'll be fair. From what I've seen of the Wastelanders DLC for Fallout 76, as long as you follow the quest lines, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like it's not by any means a good Fallout game all of a sudden. I won't give it that, but I'll give it praise where praise is due. It's a definite improvement. It seems that they are
Yeah.
starting to listen to what the community actually wants. It's not
Yeah.
perfect, but it's going in the right direction.
And also, if they sat up with Fallout 5, they decided, people actually like this shit. They don't like the fucking whatever the hell 76 was supposed to be originally. Let's just make the game. Let's just make 5 like this. Then that's definitely good promise. I think, even if Wastelanders itself, I haven't played it yet, but even if Wastelanders itself isn't actually that great Fallout game, hey, at least it shows that they're moving back in the right direction. We're getting back to Fallout, that baseline.
We're getting back to nuanced storytelling, which I will say, Fallout 76 and its Wastelanders DLC actually does a pretty good job of trying to do nuanced storytelling where you can't quite work out what actually the best action is. And there are moral shades of grey depending on how you feel as a person and how you personally believe the world should be.
Right.
Which I think is really good. That's really good. So I will give you praise, Bethesda. You have to work for it, Bethesda, but you will get praise.
Yep. We're getting back to normal, at least, rather than where the hell the last 2 years was.
Well, I believe that's as good a place as any to wrap this up. Again, chat, I do apologize for how short this has been today.
Yeah, and I have to apologize too, and also for the misunderstanding, time, all that shit. I thought we were supposed to start at 12:30. Forgot about daylight savings time, or at least people did.
It seems that we all had some shit going on today. But anyway, this has been Post Apoc Horse Talk with your hosts Gallantagists and BG, and our guest tonight has been GODOG. And until next time, keep your eyes trained and your gun in its holster, because you never know what the wasteland brings. Have a good night.